So the best thing that Motionless in White ever really did was kind of push away from being a generic kind of deathcore band. And now, don't get me wrong, they're not really breaking any new grounds, but they've kind of pushed into a more new metal, industrial metal kind of style. In the last album in particular, Reincarnate, there was definitely a pretty big switch up there with that album, and it was actually something I kind of enjoyed. I mean, it wasn't great, it wasn't anything, again, breaking new boundaries. This isn't, I'm not going to call them a new Nine Inch Nails or anything like that. That would be a horrific insult to Nine Inch Nails, but the band was, the album itself, Reincarnate, was actually enjoyable to me. I actually, as much as I probably normally wouldn't listen to it, I kind of liked it. And in this time around, I mean, this album actually manages to do a little bit more with the new metal side of things, and I think they made a better Korn album than the last Korn album that I reviewed, even though Jonathan Davis actually shows up on this album. I mean, sound-wise, they definitely continue on with what they were doing with Reincarnate, except this time it kind of feels a little bit more refined. Things definitely, they took their time a little bit more with things. They don't feel quite as awkward, as jarring, as Juveniles they kind of did there. There's songs like Necessary Evil and Not My Type, Dead as Fuck 2, which are more on the electronic and techno side of that whole industrial metal. Then there's songs like Soft or Ladder, which are more leaning towards the traditional deathcore or metalcore sound that they kind of had in the past, and definitely much heavier songs. But they actually work really well on this album, that I felt. The only issue with this album is the fact that the tone is kind of all over the place for that reason. I mean, you have songs that go from industrial metal to more technical, to deathcore, to metalcore. There's this kind of faux edginess over it all where they're trying to be creepy or whatever, and I know that's their shtick, but sometimes it just comes off feeling pretty cheesy, and that's a put off for, I guess, a lot of people, and I can understand that. I mean, there's times where the album kind of wants to be more catchy and poppier and more accessible in general, and then it just doesn't work sometimes. I mean, it's kind of inconsistent throughout this entire album, lyrically, tonally, sonically. I mean, there's a song Loud, which just feels kind of really out of place. It feels like this kind of weird 90s angry punk anthem. I mean, there's definitely some talent on this album and in this band. I'll give them that. I think they are pretty good musicians. They do know what they're doing. I just don't think they know what they want to put out necessarily and what they're trying to get their sound. I mean, it's evolving over time. I mean, from their first couple albums to the last one, Reincarnate, which was kind of a fairly big change, to this one, which continues on from there. It's not so much a big change from that, but definitely it's kind of changing. It's just that it's so inconsistent. There's so many ups and downs on this album. There's moments where it's like, it could be great if they continued sounding like this, and then it goes into something completely different. And who knows, this could be just a transitional period of time for Motionless in White, these two albums, this album in particular. We could get something completely different from them the next time. They could take this, they could expand upon it and definitely, improve upon it. If you are a fan of Motionless in White, I would suggest listening to this. It's really not that bad. It's definitely a decent album overall. If you're not a fan of them, if you've never really gotten into them, probably not a great place to start. Like I said, just the inconsistencies there are probably going to put you off, and they're not a band for everyone. Again, that kind of fake wannabe horror, edgy, whatever is definitely a put off for a lot of people, and I could definitely understand that. I really think it depends on how you feel about new metal and industrial metal, because this is basically new metal, industrial metal light, Baby's first industrial metal album. But you know what, take that however you want, and my recommendation is give it a try at least. If you hate it, you hate it, whatever. But I really think that it isn't as bad as a lot of people are saying. Thank you so much for watching the video. Let me know what you thought down below in the comments. Do you like this album? Do you like the band? Or do you like the direction? Do you hate them? Whatever it is, just let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this video for more. I also want to give a huge shout out to Scott Peter of the Beauty Mark Tattoo Parlor in Waterbury, Connecticut for doing an amazing job on my tattoos. I just recently got a Every Time I Die tattoo and an AFI tattoo all in one day. He was very, very great, very kind. I think he did great work. I'm going to post pictures. They'll be up as I'm talking here right now, so take a look. And if you're in the area, definitely check him out. Absolutely fantastic artist.